Welcome to Dodgers Daily. Casey Porter here. So glad you decided to tune in. And back by popular demand, as we do each and every Friday, Coach Holt. It is Friday night in the big town. What's going on, my man? Great to see your face. Can't hear me.
Well, it's great to see you too, Case. I don't know about popular demand. I mean, maybe your demand. I don't know if it's popular demand. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. It's
very good.
It's getting a little weird, but I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you just fine. Do we have a little bit of a delay or are we good?
No, I'm good. Hey, we, like I said, it's great to see you too. I don't know about the popular demand. It's your demand. So when I'm always ready, when you're ready for me to get on here, and all of our Dodger dogs, Coach Barakoff, Mark Watkins, Austin, you guys all do great work. I get to watch you guys. I know all the Dodger dogs are here with us. So that's great. It's great in the big city of Stillwater, Oklahoma. Not a lot going on. It's rainy. It's rainy. It's warm, but it's rainy out here. It's going to be cool. That's about all I got to report here. Our basketball team got beat last night. The Glencoe Panthers went down first round of the state tournament. We played in the new arena in Oklahoma City, so that was a good experience. But
how was that? How is the new arena? Is that pretty cool?
It's really cool. It's obviously smaller than the old. I think it holds 8,000. I think the old arena held.
Time up for Robles. He's 0 for 2.
It's brand new.
Popped up to first.
On the fairgrounds, basically about the same place the old one was. It was a really good venue. It was an outstanding environment. The old Panthers just come up a little short. Didn't play really well, but you got to give Varnum some credit there. So it's the nature of the game. When you get the state tournament, everybody's good, so those things happen. But so we're a little disappointed. We already had my weekend plan, going to Oklahoma City 3 days in a row and trying to get a gold ball. And, the basketball gods didn't shine on the old Panthers there. But we got a great coach, great kids. Actually, we return the entire team next year. So we'll just give you a year to get in the weight room, get in the gym, make yourself better, make a better athlete, and remember how you felt yesterday, Case. We've been there. We've been on the good end of it and the bad end of it. Remember how you felt yesterday as you don't want to lift weights in June or put those extra free throws up and, that sort of thing. That's in every walk of life. I'm sure the Toronto Blue Jays can relate to that, how they felt after Game 7. And as they're going into spring training, I'm sure a little chip on their shoulder. And that's much way our group will be. And anybody that loses – in the big stage, has those feelings, but that's life, Case. That's the beautiful thing about our lives. We all have challenges, tragedies. My former school, Fairview, had a big tornado come through last night. It was on national news. Had two people get killed. I didn't really know them personally, but they were involved with the school there. So my school people in Fairview are dealing with tragedy in that community. They lost a mom and a 13-year-old girl. So prayers going out to Fairview, Oklahoma, and anybody else in Oklahoma with those bad tornadoes were last night. And I know our national people saw that too. So a lot of things going on in Oklahoma, Case. Not all good, but you know what? Like I said, it's life. There's bad things, good things. We just try to do our best every day. I know you're the same way. I know we're your mom and dad, and it's all we can do. So, life goes on. Unfortunately, sometimes you just have a little sadder on some days than others.
So let's get into some Dodgers news here, and let's dive in. We're going to get into the Ohtani Grand Slam. We're going to get into the Yamamoto outing. We're going to get into all of that. We're going to get into all the fun stuff. We're going to get into those conversations. I'll tell you who I wanted to start with, and this is a young man that we have been telling you about for a long time now. This is Carson Hobbs, and coming into yesterday, Coach, he just had not pitched very well in spring training, point blank. Yesterday, the fastball, the RPMs on it, sat over 2,500. This is a fastball that's reached up to 99. His RPMs on his fastball will reach up to 2,600 RPMs at some point. Yesterday in spring training, not hit, sat over 2,500 RPMs. The slider, that one there, and then the bigger curveball were very impressive. So Carson Hobbs, I know you saw him right there. Your thoughts on what you saw in that video right there, and just kind of talk about how cool it is for a young kid like this. You saw him in Tulsa, probably going to start in Oklahoma City, probably not going to make the Major League roster at any point this year. But to bounce back after he had got a couple of outings on the main field, didn't quite show everybody what he's capable of, but yesterday really busted onto the scene. And I mean, maybe the most impressive pitching outing of anybody in spring training to this point, and I am not exaggerating when you talk about the big fastball he had. Carson Hobbs, talk about what you see here.
Well, it's great. And watching that stuff right there, Case, good Lord, I'm glad I didn't have a bat in front of that guy. This, the bottom sliders you mentioned, the RPMs. He looked like a big league pitcher. That's the great part you mentioned. You have a couple of bad outings in front of the big boys or whatever you want, on the big field, whatever you want to call what's going on there. But that shows something to everybody: your pitching coach, your teammates, your manager, your general manager, the entire organization. That. Okay, I had a couple of bad ones. Here it is. That's the life of baseball. You're only as good as your next pitch. Case, we teach that all the time as a coach. You got the last pitch is gone. They're only as good as your next pitch. In this kid's case, had two bad outings, and he come out and showed something. Like you said, he probably started out in Oklahoma City. It's just amazing. Again, I know the other organizations probably feel the same way. They have those young kids that pop up and they're all excited about it. I'm talking about the Dodgers. That's who I love and care about and watch. So great for this young man to he's got to be raising his stock just by the makeup of him, of having bad things. He didn't go in the tank, but the good ones, the great ones are all that way. They're failure. This sport, you have the biggest thing is dealing with failure, as we know, Case. That's the number one. That's not that way in every sport. Well, it actually is that way in every sport, but you deal with more failure in baseball because for obvious reasons. Look at the averages. So the way he handled coming off those other two and yesterday is a big thing for the Dodgers brass.
No doubt.
The way up and down to see and go. They're going to file it away, Case. Again, I don't want to get into it again. We all know what happened a couple of years ago, but the whole damn staff's gone. Last year, the whole bullpen's ravaged. I mean, so you never know. Sitting in Oklahoma City,
exactly
continues to improve.
That's the message you give him, Carson. You never know, dude.
Yes. You never know. Well, look at the last 2 years. We lose our entire starting rotation. Last year, the bullpen was ravaged. You're in Oklahoma City and you're dealing. Get your plane ticket, get to Will Rogers World Airport, baby, and let's go to the La La Land and get some run out there on the mound. So it's exciting. It's got to be exciting for him, that outing right there. And like I said, you're only as good as your next pitch. So, his next outing will be very important for him too.
So I got to say this, and let's kind of talk about this from an evaluation piece. You've had to evaluate. You've been a head coach and a principal and all that. You've spent your entire adult life evaluating other people's performance. Mm-hmm. So if you're the Dodgers right now and you know that Carson Hobbs didn't quite show out the way that he's capable of in his first couple of outings, then yesterday you just go, wow, there's the eureka right there. I mean, that's wow. As far as Carson Hobbs go, do you view that as, well, maybe he doesn't take the big stage immediately and he needs some time to settle in? Or do you view that as, okay, well, this is a kid that just overcame a little bit of adversity and showed what he's actually made out of by rebounding yesterday? Which way do you lean there as somebody who's evaluating him at this point? Just not necessarily for him, just from an overall evaluation piece.
Well, we use the word sample size a lot, Case. We do when you're evaluating whatever you're evaluating in every sport in life, actually. And so that one, I would evaluate him off that one, but I want to see some more. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
I know the bad ones I've seen. That's outstanding there. You like to see the guy piece some together. Some good outings. They don't have to be great outings, perfect. You see some growth from the young man. In everything about the way he handles himself. Getting prepared for the game, during the game, after the game, watching video, getting with the coaches, trying to improve on stuff, bullpen work in between. As we know, Case, big time bullpen work is going to go in between the times he's on the mound. So, I want to see, if I'm evaluating, I want more of a sample size. If a guy goes 4 for 4, but he goes 0 for 30, what the hell do you?
But are you more proud of him, or are you more sold that he's able to overcome adversity, or are you more worried that he didn't handle the big moment to begin with? Which way more do you lean there?
You know me well enough. I'm gonna go. I'm so proud of the way he handled adversity because we're moving forward. Yes. I'm not going to look back at those last two. I'm going to look forward. You're the same way, Case. We're moving forward. To hell with those first two yesterday. I'm so proud of the way you handled this because you could have gone the other way thinking, I'm screwed. I'm going to Tulsa, Oklahoma City again. To hell with it. But you did, and you're like, no, I've got my shot. I'm getting an opportunity to show what I can do. So I'm more proud of the way he performed yesterday. Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because we're making too big of a deal out of it because it's spring training. But at the same time, no, we're not. These are huge huge opportunities for guys like Carson Hobbs. I cannot explain to you how much this means to Zach Earhart, to Zaire Hope, to Josue Paula, to Kyle Hurt, and especially to like a Carson Hobbs. Jackson Ferris, who's going to start tonight. You can say it's only spring training. It's not just spring training for guys like Carson Hobbs. This is an audition for them. This is huge for them. So, yes, while we're making too much out of it because it is spring training, it doesn't go towards any statistical situation that moves forward. It's not just spring training for the younger guys. So, to Carson Hobbs right now, this is his World Series, so very proud of him.
No, that's a great point, and you nailed it right there, Case. This isn't to Zach Earhart and Carson Hobbs, all those dudes. This isn't just spring training them. This is their opportunity, and it is their opportunity to show them, because everybody's there. Andrew Friedman, the whole daggum crew's there. Everybody that makes decisions in the Dodgers organization is there. So this isn't just spring. Let's face. I mean, if you want to get right down to it, to Freddie Freeman and Mookie, it is just spring training.
Yes,
They're
correct. That's my point. Yes.
They know what it takes. They know exactly what they have to do to get their body and their mind ready for the season.
Try to convince Santiago Espinal this is just spring training. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. These guys are, this is not just spring training. It's their livelihood, Case. Think about it. If you become a major leaguer, we're not even talking about the money. The money, everybody gets it on the money. You can set yourself up for life. I live right here in a town. A guy called Matt Holiday. He's got a pretty good little spread out here. I think he just moved out there. It's worth $12 million. That's from him being a successful major league player out there. And, I'm not saying everybody's going to make it, be as successful as Matt Holiday or some other guys that have done it, but this is their life. So if they don't make it in baseball, they've got to go do something else because they're young people. They're looking at their livelihood. That's how important this is. Freddie knows where his next paycheck's coming from, and those guys, I'm saying, they're doing what they have to do to prepare for the season. These guys here, this is my life, the rest of my life, to be real honest with you, how it's going to look and what I'm going to do. I'm either going to be a baseball player that goes into so many more options, money-wise and career-wise, or in a couple of years, I'm going to be looking for something else to do. So, that is how important it is. Yes, teaching PE like Casey and Tony in Oklahoma and coaching high school baseball and loving every minute of it, Case.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know it. I did, and so did you.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of guys that have raised the stock. I thought it was so cool yesterday. Santiago, Coach, how many times I keep telling Dodgers Dogs fans, I'm going to keep saying Sergio Espinal because we remember Sergio so well with Oklahoma State. He was an awesome bunter, right? Santiago Espinal, Noah Miller, Zach Earhart, three guys that had back-to-back hits yesterday, which is really cool. And Espinal went back-to-back with whoever it was with home runs. But I thought that was really cool, and we're going to get into Zaire Hope. I think Zaire Hope's definitely – I don't think he's raised his stock. I think he has proven to be what everybody thought he was coming into spring training. But I'll tell you this, the three guys to me that have raised their stock the most, Santiago Espinal, he's done it in a way that I think is slam dunk that he's on the 26-man roster, whatever role that may be. Zach Earhart, I think he's a guy that everybody went, wow, this guy's just a really good ball player. I have no problem if he becomes the fourth outfielder or whatever, even by the end of this year or whatever. And then I think also Noah Miller, I think everybody has to be extremely impressed with him.
Well, and like you said, that's the great thing about it. As we talked about pitchers a while ago, starting pitchers, relievers. We talked about all that, how things can change. We've seen it with our own two eyes the last 2 years with the Dodgers. Same eight position players. I mean, you made a decision last year with Conforto. Never did turn out. They stuck with it. We probably agree with the fact they stuck with it too long. But, whatever the case may be, you don't know. An injury, a pop here, something happens where a guy's out for the year. Things will happen. These guys are raising their stock. They don't make the 26-man. They're right there. And everybody knows it. They know it. The Dodgers know it. Everybody's right there. Heaney knows it in Oklahoma City. He's getting those guys, keeping those guys prepared every day. And that's the great thing about it. Again, it goes back to the same thing you mentioned earlier. This isn't just spring training. These cats right here, they're on the cusp of being Major League Baseball players. Case, I would have given my whatever to be a Major League. I know you would have too. Never had that opportunity. Never was good enough.
Your brass balls.
They're on the cusp. Yes, well, yeah. We go back into Yamamoto's brass balls, I guess. We can talk about that. But I would give one of those to be 1,000th of the pitcher that Yamamoto is. But, yes, you know what I'm saying. I would. They're on the cusp of being all of us little boys' dreams. Well, I'm in Randolph, Oklahoma, big Dodger fan. But I'm also a quarter Choctaw Indian, and so is Johnny Bench. I thought I was going to be the next Johnny Bench. I was a catcher starting out, Case, wore number 5 on the Randolph GN baseball team. Never was good. That's where the similarities ended, right there with me and Johnny Bench. But the point was, I was a little kid. I had those dreams, and that's the way we are. There, I was out in the front yard. I was a Major League Baseball player, swinging men racks, swinging it. Rolled up socks. We're old school. Had no money. We had rolled up socks playing home run derby. But I pictured myself at playing, in Dodger Stadium. Never happened. Never was good enough. So the fact those guys, you see where they are, I'm so envious and happy for them because I can only imagine what that feels like.
Here's the big question for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
Do you need to look at the Carfax for Yoshinobu Yamamoto before we said that you don't need one for Ohtani. Doesn't have a Carfax. You have a Carfax on Yamamoto?
Sure as hell don't now. I mean, if there was, there might have been there might have been a shortened version last year when it came out. But after what he did last year, if anybody ever, you don't have to question anything to do with Yamamoto. No, it's kind of like Ohtani. That was a great discussion we had that day, obviously, but. Talking about used cars, you got to look at the Carfax. I mean, you got injuries, you got oil changes, whatever you got there. But Ohtani, there's no such thing. There's not one there. And I'm sure if there was one on Yamamoto, it's disappeared now. It's not around anymore.
Yeah. The thing
he's
about
already shown what he's made of.
Well, I'm so glad that Yamamoto's pitching for Japan, for one. There's just no way that you can regain the type of exposure the Dodgers are getting. Like if you turn on at the Tokyo Dome, where Ohtani hit a grand slam yesterday, Yamamoto pitched. I mean, the only jersey you see is Dodgers. I mean, every time Yamamoto pitches for Team Japan and every time Shohei Ohtani hits a grand slam for Team Japan and the Tokyo Dome goes wild, you know who's cashing in on that? The Dodgers. I mean, there is just no way you can get that valuable exposure, and basically it's just free advertising back. And, by the way, they're getting to compete in a very competitive environment, getting ready for the season. To me, this is a win-win for everybody.
The World Baseball Class, it's awesome. Case, right before we got on, I'm watching Mexico and Great Britain in there. Yeah. Loving. I mean, I'm the baseball guy. I know you're the same way. I'm sitting there watching Mexico and Great Britain play in Houston. I'm just loving every minute. Watch this. You see the current major leaguers. You see some other guys that maybe hadn't been. But what a great thing. You're playing for your country. The opportunity, the last time they came down to, the I guess USA and Japan, and we all know how that one turned out. Whatever, but. How would Ohtani go 3 for 4 last night? Yeah, Grand Slam. I mean, blah blah blah. The guy, it's stupid. But like you said, the world coverage that the Dodgers are getting. And again, I'll apologize to the people in Korea and Japan that I speak the way I do. Maybe it's not coming across good on the closed captioning, but that's a whole other story. But this exposure worldwide that the Dodgers get in Major League Baseball for the main thing, and it's positive. It's positive by all accounts. Ohtani and Yamamoto are great guys. I mean, amazing people.
Oh my
Look how they interact with their teammates.
Yeah.
Look how they interact with their teammates. Their teammates love them. The fans. Ohtani comes out and tips his cap to the freaking other manager every time. Yeah. Every time he comes up, says something to the catcher, hits a foul tip in the catcher's face. He comes back and checks on him. The guy, he loves everybody, and he's he may end up being the greatest baseball player that ever lived. At some point, that's a big statement, but he may end up being that.
Not
it's
too big.
Guy that's tipping his cap to. No, tipping his cap to the manager. He's checking on the umpire. Anybody gets hit, he's just an amazing individual in a lot of ways, and that's what it's not a lot of exposure. It's outstanding, positive exposure for not just little kids, but us adults who love the game and love to watch it.
You know what's interesting about Ohtani too, Coach? Like the Barry Bonds deal, when Barry Bonds couldn't hit in the playoffs, right? That stuck with him. When John Elway couldn't win a Super Bowl, that stuck with him. Like the biggest moments of John Elway's career was when he first finally, whenever Steve Young finally won it, and he that fake monkey off his back, right? That kind of deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So Ohtani's done so much for the Dodgers, correct, with the Ohtani economy and the world championships and all this. I got to say, though, the Dodgers have done every bit as much for Shohei Ohtani as he's done for them, because now is Shohei Ohtani not just the most talented player in the world, now he's the best player in the world because he has the championships to go with it, and you can just see a much more relaxed, much more ready to meet the moment Shohei Ohtani than whenever he was with the Angels. And so you just can't overlook the fact that Dodgers have put Ohtani in a position to where even if he doesn't get a hit in a particular big situation, his team still wins. And so now not only is he the greatest player in the world, he also is the greatest player in the world that's going to win the most amount of championships. That completes the circuit for a guy like Shohei Ohtani, and I can't tell you how much that means to him, and that's why he will continue to give back to this Dodgers organization the way he has.
It's win-win. Like you said, Case, That's the best way of putting it. It's so much for him, for his entire life, his family, his country, for heaven's sakes. And it's so much for the Dodgers that they are able to do what they're able to do. You know, and like you said, John Elway is a great quarterback, but everybody else had that until he won those 2 titles. Now he's recognized as one of the greatest ever. Dan Marino goes to Super Bowl his first year, never goes back.
Well, right.
So there's that on that. It's not easy. He got beat, but he never went back either. Never had an opportunity to play there. So it's such an outstanding the marriage, let's call it, of the Dodgers and Ohtani. And like you said, those days, even when he's 0 for 5, he's affecting the game because they're pitching around him. Yes. They know he's there. We know we got Miggy Rowe up. Guess who's on deck? It's freaking Shohei Ohtani on deck. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to walk him on 3-2. Okay, you give up a game-tying homer. I'm just saying that affected all that right there. That was going to happen because Shohei Ohtani standing over there on deck. Whether he may be 0 for 6 or 5 strikeouts, it's still Shohei freaking Ohtani, and you're going to respect it. So he affects the game every game he's in, whether he's on the mound, the field, in the dugout, shaking hands with babies or whatever the heck he's doing with his dog out there. It doesn't matter. He affects the game he's involved in every day in some capacity.
Coach, I've said this, I'm a homer, and Mark said that I'm not being a homer in this situation because he's actually been that good. I've talked about Zach Earhart many different times. We're going to get Zaire Hope here in a minute, Santiago Espinal, right. Noah Miller. Yep. Tell us what you remember him as an Oklahoma State Cowboy. And you don't have to necessarily back up what I've said about him. You probably even know what I've said about him. Yep. So tell us what you remember about this kid.
I remember he being, what we love, us longtime Oklahoma State fans, the toughness, the mental makeup. You can see it in him. He was at college. We even go back to the Gary Ward days. We can go back to Pete Incavilla and Robin Ventura and some of the greats that played here, down through the years. But Zach Earhart was a guy, he could play. He was good defensively, hard-nosed. He's just a guy that you're thinking every day he came up, hey, we got a chance. Something big's going to happen here. And the young man has continued on with his career, as we mentioned earlier. That's your livelihood. Are you going to stay in baseball? A lot of guys stay in the minor leagues for a long time. Are you going to stay there? Or is it time to just cut bait and I'm going to go do something else? I'm done. We've seen them all familiar with right now or on that edge right there. Am I going to stick with it or am I going to move on? So, Earhart just always had that air about him. It's funny, you look at college guys sometimes and you go, hey, I know he's just 18, 19 years old, but he kind of has a look of a guy who could do it. He had that look, and it's obviously proven out by people way smarter than me, and I had nothing to do with it. Just watching him, it's very exciting for me. Like I said, it's the same old thing. He's doing that. That credit goes to Zach Earhart. It didn't go to where he played college ball at. What you think about him, he's having to walk out there and compete on the highest level against the greatest players in the world every day. That's a credit to that young man, and that's what I always love when you see these young guys. Their mental makeup, especially in this sport. Their mental makeup is off the charts because they're dealing with failure. I got to deal with failure, but yet I'm still trying to get to L.A. So, hell, that's tough. It's tough to do. So it's amazing the stuff to try to get to the highest level. And Zach is getting he's, like you said, he may be right there now. If somebody goes down, he may see him. He may break camp with him. Who knows?
Yeah. Boy, and how about Zaire Hope? I call him the tank. We had a catcher from Edmond Memorial here at Oklahoma State that our pitching coach actually deemed the tank because he had such a big lower body. Colin Simpson is his name. Colin actually played in professional ball in Fresno at the single A level for several different years. But I call Zaire Hope the tank. I mean, just because he's built like a tank, so built, and then he just impacts the ball the way that he does. He's a tremendous athlete. He just, I mean, the impact that he puts on the ball when he hits it. I know we all came in thinking, and I had said that I actually would have Zaire Hope over Josue Paul. I don't mind saying that because I think he's a better defender. The argument I've had is I think if you tie them for whatever reason offensively, the defense wins the day there. Okay, so I say Zaire. I mean, boy, he's just a great player. Evaluate him.
So he was making big strides last year. You know, it's something that he was already kind of getting on the radar of the big people, the big time people. I mean, they're always on the radar. I don't mean that sounds stupid. They're always on their radar. But I mean, he was making big strides last year, and even more so here. I like the word the tank. Of course, I'm wide like a tank, but he don't have a big belly like I do.
Yeah, no doubt.
My tank is bad. You know, it's in bad shape. The tank we had at OSU a few years ago, those guys are wiped. They're muscled up. They got the body. They got their athleticism to go with it. So, you know, hope again, much like Earhart, I mean, the Dodgers got to feel good about it. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I love when they signed Michael Conforto, but I'd rather have either one of these guys than him playing out there right now. You know, what we know from last year, what we know right now. That's what I'd rather go there. So, but Hope is a great prospect. Again, we're talking about the LA Dodgers. You're right there with the two-time World Series champs. There's a lot of organizations. He'd probably been in the big leagues 2 years ago. You know, Earhart, the same thing. I might have already been up playing. You know, maybe even before it was time for him to play. But you know, here we are now. So that's a great thing to see these guys prepare themselves. And first of all, the main thing, you got to have the talent. It don't make a damn how a lot of people got work ethic. They can't play, you know, but they put out great effort every day in every walk of life. These guys have to have that sort of talent. Hope is an impressive young man.
He is, absolutely is. This is Edgardo Henriquez too. On the opposite end of this, he has had not a good spring at all. Super talented. He helped people forget he helped the Dodgers right before Will Klein came in the World Series last year. So this is a guy with as big of experience as you could get. You would hope that he was going to springboard off of that into spring training. It just has not happened. Hasn't thrown enough strikes. When he has, he's gotten ambushed. So first of all, where are you at on Edgardo Henriquez? How do you evaluate that spring? I don't think he's going to make the 26-man roster. You don't necessarily have to give your opinion on that, but if you're Dave Roberts, if you're Andrew Friedman, if you're somebody like that, what do you tell a guy like Edgardo Henriquez that can throw the ball 104? He can throw a 94-mile-an-hour cutter. We know he's super talented. It's just not happening for him right now. But yet, he's still only, 23 years old, 24 years old. He's still very young. What's the conversation you have about Edgardo Henriquez?
Basically what you just said, you get your arm around the young man. Dude, the God-given that you have, and make no mistake about it, 104 miles an hour is God-given. Me and you can get in the bullpen, get them all the hell you want. God-given to be able to throw a baseball 104 miles an hour and have that sort of velocity on the ball. Now, that being said, like you said, you're still young, man. You helped us win last year. Who knows? You may help us win this year. We just got to continue to work on what has been the issues. You know, it's got the same thing. I mean, even I know with River Ryan coming back, there's still some concern about his command. It's the same thing here. You're throwing 104 miles an hour. We can't. There's anybody else in the organization throws like that. You know, but we got to continue to mature, to grow in these areas. Exactly. Yeah. There you go. That's what I'm saying. And someone can throw it through the backstop. You can't. You know, just a bit outside, kill the mascot, back in the, Bull Durham days. But anyway, hit the mascot in the head over there, whatever you can do. But the point being, you're just going to – he's got to know. Dude, we pinned on you last year in the biggest games of our year, the World Series. You were in there. And late in the year, he was in there. He was pitching in the major leagues in big-time games. He wasn't a mop-up guy. He had to come in. Yes, he had some struggles there at times, but also, again, it's 104. So if I'm going to struggle, hey, my shitty pitch is 104. Okay, well, I'm going to work on it a little bit. So I think he's got to understand you're not that far away. Because of your velocity and your stuff, you're really dadgum close. If he starts getting command and being able to throw strikes, hell, he's there. They're not going to wait around. He's on a plane quick.
I would totally agree with that. I wanted to back up to the Shohei Ohtani Grand Slam. And the play-by-play announcer that was on the call, Steven Nelson. Steven Nelson's a guy a friend of the show. We've had him on a couple of times. Matter of fact, when we see him, he always says hello, that kind of thing. So I actually messaged him this morning, and my message to him, let's see what you think about this. And of course, he appreciated me, and he did respond with a pretty cool answer. I said, man, it was really cool. I said, first of all, the Ohtani, of course. Was that something you had in your bag, or did that just kind of come to you at the moment? Was it spontaneous? He said it was. So his answer to that was, because his call was Ohtani, then he waited, and he said, of course. So I'm like, I've got to know how this went. So he said that it was kind of both, because one, it did just come to him, but two, he had kind of been sitting around thinking, well, Ohtani's done everything else. Well, why not he just hit a grand slam in the Tokyo Dome, in the World Baseball Classic in front of his fans? Of course he would do that. So it was really cool. It was a mix of, yeah, he had thought before, yeah, well, that would be cool if this happened. And then kind of came to him like in the moment, he was like, well, of course Ohtani just did that. He's Shohei freaking Ohtani. So I thought that was a really cool human element moment to Steven Nelson. And then also that is that he let the moment breathe. He just shut up and kind of let the Tokyo Dome soak in the moment. He didn't make it about him. He made it about Ohtani in the moment. And kind of the way I put it to him was, that's one of the largest reasons why we love Vin Scully so much, is that he would call it and then he would let the moment take care of itself. I just thought Steven Nelson did a brilliant job of that on that Ohtani Grand Slam.
Yeah, it's like Joe Davis. Gibby,
yes.
Meet Freddie, but he let it breathe before he said it.
Yeah.
As soon as Freddie hits it and raises the bat up, there's some moment there to soak it in. Freddie's waving to daddy behind him, and Gibby, Meet Freddie. Yes, that's great by Steven. Steven's one of us. It has come to him, but I'd be the same way if I'm the manager in the other dugout.
Yes.
He comes up and that happens. You go,
of course.
Well, of course he did. That. You know, my words would be, well, yeah, of course. You know, just same thing. Yeah. No kidding. It's a packed stadium. It's in Japan. Get out.
Before you go on.
We knew this was coming.
Before you go on, you remember Ryan Valade, right? He's in AAA. James Valade's brother, the son.
Yep.
So we were playing him in Guthrie.
Yep.
And I told my pitching coach, I said, hey, man, I want to pitch to this guy. And well, you know Terry Bennett. And Terry goes, you think we can get him out? And I said, absolutely not. I said, I want to see just what this looks like whenever he actually squares one up. And so we throw him a couple fastballs, and he hits one about 600 miles an hour. I'm like, okay, that was a lot of fun. So we went ahead and threw to him. So that kind of reminded me when you said that you're the other team's manager and you're watching Shohei Ohtani, you're like, man, throw to this guy because I want to see this with my own eyes, right? I think we have a delay. Can you hear me, Coach?
It's got to be amazing.
We
got a little delay. I can hear you, but we got a little delay, yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. We'll get into one more topic here, the Ohtani deal, though. Do you have any comment on that? I apologize for the delay.
No, it's a little bit delay, but like I said, the good thing is I can still hear you, so it's not that bad a deal. But, it's still, of course, to him because we've all been there. Or I'm not going to give him an opportunity to beat me because I know he can. We can't get him out. But, you're going to do that. If you got an opportunity, let's go. Let's throw it. Let's throw it. It ain't going to affect the game one way or the other. I want to watch this guy swing the bat. And if I'm a scout, of course, there's no scouts there, but I've say Matt Cooper. There's a young man named Matt Cooper. He's from Stillwater. He played a visiting team. I coached him when he was young. Then he went to another team. First time I faced him, I pitched to him, hit a 3-run homer to beat me. I looked at my assistant coach, never going to happen again. So from that point on, me and another guy walked him. I mean, it was literally every time he came up, he could affect the game. If one swing was going to affect the game, which is most of the time we were playing, what do you even bring a bat up for? Just get the hell out of here.
Right.
You don't have to pitch to them. You walk them. So it's the same type of thing. But if we were way ahead or way behind, I love Matt Cooper. We rode to school together a lot of days. Pitched to him, and hell, it ended up there by Ripley High School. You know what I mean?
Like Ohtani did.
It's kind of like, he'd hit it, and I'd go, "You're welcome, Matt." As he'd go by first base, "You're welcome, buddy." But don't get used to it because you're going to walk every other time. But same concept in a smaller version, obviously.
Yeah, Santiago Espinal, he's been super impressive. Have you followed him much, Coach? this spring?
Just enough that kind of since we visited last time, trying to keep up with him a little bit more. He's making a big run and probably going to be on the roster when they break camp. Kate, you know more about that than I do, but been a very impressive spring for that guy.
All right, Coach, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties here, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that thing off right here. So go ahead and give us your final thoughts, and then we'll get out of here and we'll get after it next time.
We'll reload next time. We got almost 30 minutes in, so it's not bad for us.
We're good. We're good.
Not too bad. Final
There's
thoughts,
nothing
Case.
really a whole lot going on right now anyway.
We're getting down the short.
Yeah.
No, people are doing like I'm doing.
Yeah.
If you're a baseball guy, you're watching spring training games on MLB.
Yeah.
You're watching I love the World Baseball Classic.
Too.
I'm a baseball guy. I know you're the same way. Our Dodger Dogs are the same way because you see players from all around, and they're playing for their country. They're playing. They're having fun, but they're playing for their country. It's a big deal.
It is.
So it's fun to watch, and it's an exciting time of year. World Baseball Classic going on, and as soon as that baby ends, here we are in the regular season. I noticed Fox is already showing their March 28th first game. I think it's I guess we'll get to see Tony Vitello and the Giants against the Yankees right off the bat in Fox's first Saturday night game. So here we go. So
I truly get to hate the Giants even more this year with Vitello being their
absolutely.
manager.
We sure do. With Vitello being their manager, you're right. But it's an exciting time of the year. Main things for them young kids, like we mentioned earlier, I love it for them. They've got an opportunity to either make the big club or get right on the cusp and know that an injury here and there, you're coming back and you may not ever leave again. So that's a great time for those guys in every organization, but all I give a crap about is a Dodger kid. So Zach Earhart, Zaire Hope, you guys, Espinal, all you guys, keep giving it hell. You never know what's going to happen. You don't need to hear it from me because you don't even know who the hell I am, but we all are pulling for you to make your dream come true.
Coach.
Love you, Case.
Yep, love you too, Coach. Appreciate it, brother. Hey, to all you wonderful Dodgers dogs out there, sorry for again, we had a delay here. We had a few technical difficulties. Thank you for hanging in there. So until next time, I want to thank all of you wonderful Dodgers dogs out there and remind you, as always, it's a great day to be a Dodger.